This
Regional Planning
conference will
Commission.
now be recorded.
Calling to order the regular meeting of the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission. This meeting is recorded and it is being held virtually pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, allowing local and regional governments to hold public meetings remotely or in a hybrid fashion. All votes will be taken by a roll call vote, and all members are encouraged to turn their camera on while voting. Moving into the agenda, we're moving into acceptance of the minutes. The previous meeting was September 5th, 2024. The minutes should have been distributed to everybody in the pre-meeting materials for an opportunity for review. Can we get I would like to take the motion, and then if we have any corrections, actually, let's jump right into corrections. Does anybody have any corrections or clarifications for the minutes? And then we'll take a motion.
Not hearing any. Guy Carvassaro, I move to accept the minutes as printed.
Excellent. Here in a first, do we have a
Bob-
second?
Bob Schwartz, second.
Excellent. Hearing a first and a second, do we have any discussion? All right, hearing no discussion, I'm calling a vote, and it is a roll call vote. Do we have somebody assisting with the call of the roll tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to do the roll call.
Excellent.
Let me know if I miss any voting members at the end. So we'll start with Alan Pease,
Aye.
Dean Valeri. Oh, try it again. Dean Valeri,
Sorry, Dean Valier, aye.
sorry, Valier. My apologies.
No
Jeff
problem.
Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Guy Carvassaro, aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Christopher Monroe, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Rob Schwartz.
Robert Schwartz, aye.
And I think that is it. Is that all the voting members? Like it's it.
Excellent. And since we had an obvious quorum, we're also going to use this roll call as the attendance for this evening. Thank you all for your vote on that. Moving down on the agenda, we have the cash schedule.
I'll do that. Bob Schwartz.
Thank you very much.
Cash schedule covering the period 9/1 to 9/30/2024. Opening balance is of August 31, 2024. Total opening balance $465,589.12. Cash receipts. Total receipts $195,267.24. Total cash on hand before this warrant $660,856.36. Less the amount of this warrant, all cash disbursements $189,950.99. Balance after this warrant $471,805.37. On deposit as of September 30th, 2024, $471,805.37. That's the end of this report.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Move to accept.
Hearing a motion, do we have a second?
Guy Carvassaro seconds to accept as subject to audit.
Excellent. Thank you. Hearing a first and a second, do we have any discussion? And I would like to just note for the record here that although we did not have the schedule on display on the screen, it was distributed to all members ahead of time. So if any members have any issues about taking a vote on this, please let us know. But everybody should have had this ahead of time to take a look at. Any further discussion or questions? All right, hearing none, I'm calling a roll call vote.
Okay, Alan Pease,
Aye.
Dean Valier,
Abstain, not present.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Guy Corbacero, yes.
Christopher Monroe,
Christopher Monroe, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
and then I have a caller one. I'm wondering if caller one could just identify themselves. I'm not sure if that would be a voting member or not. Did somebody here call in? Okay, guess we'll just have to move on.
All right, are there any voting members that were not called in the roll call? All right, the motion carries. Moving forward on the agenda, we have guest announcements and questions. Do we have any guest announcements or questions for tonight? There weren't any sent in ahead of time, so are there any being raised at the moment? All right, let's move into administrative matters.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if it's okay with you and the group, I'd like to take item 5.2 first and then do 5.1. Jason's in the process of receiving the detailed agenda, and he's going to spin that up. So I want to stall for time and give him a few.
That's fine with me.
Jason, do you have that now? I just want to make sure. No, you don't have that.
No, did you email it to me?
It's in the folder and I just emailed it to you.
Okay, I didn't see it in the folder, but I have the Word doc and I will make it a PDF and share it in a minute.
That's cool. Thanks a lot, and I'm enjoying Jeff with his cat. It looks like a beautiful creature there. I do want to take a couple moments and acknowledge under 5.2, the only other administrative matter I have is the acknowledgement for Linda Quinlivan service as fiscal manager and then fiscal director to this organization the last 6 to 7 years. This is Linda's last meeting. It's her last month. Unless she pulled her retirement back, I'm not sure. I'm okay. I saw her no there. I want to thank, at the public meeting, I do want to thank Linda for her service to the organization. She came in at a very difficult time. Excuse me. And she helped us with a lot of procedures and so much with audits. It's just incredible what fiscal staff do. So I want to thank you, Linda, for your service. I will see you next Monday. Apologies, but I want to say thank you to in front of the group tonight. And if anybody else wants to say anything, please do.
So Glenn, it's Jeff Tillotson here. She's already at the beach. She's not coming back.
I am.
And I'm sorry, I had forgotten that the camera could pick up Tito. Tito's a rescue was left on my property a couple of years ago. And so she comes and sits with me all the time.
Well,
Thank you, Glenn.
You're welcome, Linda, and welcome, Tito. Thanks, Linda, for everything. You want to say any parting words? You have the microphone.
No, not really, but I enjoyed my 6 years with everybody. It was great. But I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of nothing for a bit. But anyway, thank you.
Hi, Linda. Guy Corbacero here. Just want to thank you. You helped carry me through all the times that I was chairman. Appreciate it very much. You did a great
Thank you,
job.
Guy.
Bob Schwartz, I too will miss her. I worked with her a short time, but I'll miss her, just like Glenn will. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
When folks are ready to move on, I'll move into 5.1, and it's the beginning of the meeting. If somebody wants to say something later, I would ask the chair's indulgence to allow people to do so. So without further ado, I'll go into 5.1 if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So the gist of 5.1 is that Grace Belmont hired as a principal planner approximately 6 months ago. It says there April of 2024. It's the fourth bullet in front of you under item 5.1. Grace has shown a tremendous amount, given a tremendous amount of effort, brings a lot of knowledge to the organization and experience. Both for the overview, both Grace and then separately later Bernie Cahill were hired, and at the end of the 6-month probationary anniversary periods, we do a review and we see if they're performing well. We have a very strict policy about if they're performing well, if folks are performing well, we do want to reward them. We look at market rate data, we look at our salary scale, we adjust it. Brian did a tremendous amount. Thank you, Brian, and helped Holly as HR and me to create this report for not only Grace, but for Tyler also, Tyler Godin, who was a principal planner. And I'm recommending basically, or we as management, I don't want to say I anymore because I sound like a politician. We work as a team and I want to reflect that. Jason, would you be kind to scroll down a little bit? The "it was determined" paragraph can be at the top if that's okay. So we revisit the salaries. We did our market rate analysis. We're following our policy in accordance with Section C14, Personnel Policies and Employee Procedures Handbook. When people grow in a position, they are allowed to be earn more coin to reflect the market rate and their position for the earning the pay in which we believe that they deserve. We recommend that their salaries be adjusted upward. Those numbers are located. Jason, if you want to scooch it up just a little bit more, please, the resolutions, I'd appreciate that very much. So we're recommending that MRPC increase Grace Belmont, principal planner salary, she's in transportation department, from the 62 to 75 to 78 per year, effective September 30. So retro as of a few days ago in this payroll week that just started a few calendar days ago. And similarly for Tyler, that he also be rewarded for tremendous work that he's doing, tremendous work that Grace is doing. I just want to close by saying it's hard to get an employee salary bump request by me, and these are well deserved, very, very well deserved. So when I come to you and I say, with management backing, that these folks deserve these bumps, they really, really do. That's all I really have to say on this. I don't need to belabor the point. It's all in writing. Questions, please. I'm happy to answer. I will mute.
Glenn, this is Mary Jo Bohart. It's more of a curiosity question, and maybe we're all I'm thinking of back at our respective office. When these folks how you set salaries when you first hire and so on, do you feel in hindsight that they were hired at too low of a salary? Is that part of why this adjustment is a significant one for each of them, percentage wise? Or in other words, did the organization hire them at unusually low rates?
That's partially the reason that they came in a little lower than, for a variety of reasons. We may not have had the cash at the time, bluntly, to pay someone a little higher. It may be Glenn's fault that he didn't look more closely at the market rates to see what was going on. I'm pretty cautious when I hire folks. I do like to see if they work out. In this case of these two people, oh my goodness gracious, they're doing very, very, very well. They're meeting, if not exceeding, expectations, which is hard to do. I mean, the only person that can exceed expectations is a deity, so that's pretty tough to do. But these folks are doing wonderful. we're constantly looking at, we had a January 2020 salary or compensation report done. We adjust that every 3 years, but when these things come up, we do the math and we go to find valid data among the regional planning agencies across the Commonwealth. I look more closely at, really Central Mass, slightly northern Connecticut into southern New Hampshire, because that seems to be our larger metro region. So there are a variety of factors, Mary Jo, why numbers, why salaries are people are hired at certain numbers and then adjusted later on. And again, at the end of the day, it's folks have to prove themselves according to the policy, whether you can earn a title or pay or a combination or one or the other or both by taking on more duties and performing very well. So there's a combination of things that go on here, Mary Jo. I hope that answered your question.
Any further questions from the commission? All right, it looks like we
Mr.
have
Chair, could I
these,
just,
yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is Brian Doherty. I'm the transportation director. I just want to mention a few things. If you remember about a year ago, there's been some turnover in the last year in the transportation department, which hasn't happened in a long, long time. It started when we expanded staff. We hired Tyler Godin. He came over from planning and development last July. And then Brad Harris, who's been here for 38 years, he was the director for over 30, retired in January. I took over Brad's role. I came from within the department, and basically we've been working on backfilling some of the roles that people have had in the past. It was we didn't know exactly how it was going to shake out, but we successfully completed the contract year. We feel good about where we're at. We have a lot of long-term employees in the department as well. Sherry and George have both been over 20 years here. Basically, we took this as an opportunity to look at some of the similar paying jobs in the region and also statewide, and we're able to come up with the number that you see here tonight. So I highly recommend this proposal, and I think that I speak for the department itself as well. So,
Excellent, thank you. Any additional questions from the commission? All right, so we have these presented on the agenda as two separate motions. So let's go ahead and take them that way. Would somebody like to make a motion? For the first one.
Bob Schwartz, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution concerning Belmont with a raise in salary to $78,000.
Guy Carpenter, second.
Excellent. Hearing a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, calling a roll call vote.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Dean Valier,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Christopher Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
and that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Any voting members not called, please speak up. The motion carries. So we have on the table the second suggested motion. Would somebody like to make that one?
Guy Carpenter, I'll move the resolution as printed.
Tillotson,
Bob
thank you.
Schwartz, second.
Thank you. Hearing a first and a second. Any discussion or deliberation? Hearing none, I'm calling a roll call vote.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Dean Valier,
Dean Valier, aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbacero,
Guy Corbacero, aye.
Christopher Monroe,
Christopher Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
and Robert Swartz.
Aye.
And that's it.
Excellent, thank you. The motion carries. Glenn, do you have any other additional administrative matters?
No, sir, thank you.
Excellent. So we're moving into department updates. Glenn, do you have any overall comments for department updates before we jump into the individual
No, I'd like to turn the
departments?
microphones over to the departments in question in the order 6.1, 2, and 3, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, do we have any updates from GIS?
No updates at this time other than what's listed on the current projects listing.
Excellent, thank you. And moving into what I believe will be a more substantive discussion. So 6.2, planning and development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have tonight 2 planners from our department, Tracy Murphy, Senior Planner, and Zach Kay, Regional Planner, and they've worked diligently to update the SEDS Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, and so I'm going to turn it over to them.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm just going to share my screen. I just did a really quick presentation. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see my
Yes.
screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Since I started at MRPC and Zach came on board, we've been working on the SEDS project. And so for this time around, for this version of the SEDS, we changed it up a little bit and we changed the format. And we made an executive summary, which is about 40 pages long. We got it down to 40 because it was pretty long. Appendix A has all the regional projects. This time around, we have 71 projects. We have 13 communities that are represented, and we have 1 economic development partner, which is the North Central Chamber of Commerce, nominated some projects. So we're pretty pleased about that. I wanted to get as many towns involved as I could, and we're getting there. Appendix B has all the demographics and trends, which Zach put that whole appendix together. And he'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. And then Appendix C has our public participation, input, and resources. We want this to be a usable tool for our community, so we want to put some relevant resources in there and just so that they can actually just pick it up and look at the back, and there's a lot of different resources. The content, the difference in the content is we have references to quotes and goals and strategies that are aligned with the Massachusetts Economic Development Plan, the North Central Mass Chamber Plan, which is One North Central, a pathway to prosperity, and also the Central Massachusetts Workforce Blueprint. And I want to thank both MassHire and the North Central Mass Chamber for participating in this whole process. They had some very valuable input. Also in this round of the SEDS, there's an emphasis on tourism in the region. We see a lot of that happening. A lot of regional signed up little collaborations. The small town collaboration is started up. And then we also incorporated emerging sectors, the shifts to high tech manufacturing. And then we have a section on entrepreneurism, which we're seeing a lot of that coming into the area. and we want to support that. Zach, I don't know if you want to talk about the demographics.
Yeah, could we just swap to that slide if that's all right?
Yep. Is it?
Thank you.
Yep.
But basically, with the demographics, the main updates were to the content related to our ethnic and racial proportion graphs. We included about 4 new graphs that break down ethnic and racial proportions between 2010 and 2022 for Leominster, Fitchburg, Gardner, and Clinton, 4 of our more urbanized areas that we have. And then we also did update the overall regional ethnic graphs as well, so they're a little bit more representative of Hispanic populations. You'll also notice that poverty rates in the region have also been updated there, and there are improvements to our healthcare inventory and the narrative there to be a little bit more representative of the recent closure of Neshoba Valley Medical Center. Other than that, there's some slight rewording and grammar edits, but nothing else that major done.
Excuse me, Zach, for a moment. I'm still on the first slide. Is anybody else having that problem?
Yes, Karen. Jeffrey Tillotson here. I have the draft open and I'm following along on the draft, but the slide on the screen is still the intro slide.
Let me stop sharing here and see what's going on.
I was actually very interested to hear that report, and I was trying to, Zach, thank you very much. You went quick. But it would be nice to have the graphic if we can do it.
Yeah, it does have the graph there, so it is nice to see.
Do you want to try to share it from yours, Zach? Because I think my internet's...
one sec.
My camera keeps going in and out too, so...
We should do something about that. Connectivity in Montechusett, right?
Yeah.
I have the same problem. I now have my systems wired here in the house again. It's crazy.
Perfect. Thank you,
All
Zach.
right, are people seeing that now? Great. One second.
Can you put it in presentation mode so it's larger, please? Thank you.
Yeah, this was our first slide there. And then here we go with the demographics and trends. So as you can see,
There we go.
slightly updated.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll go next slide.
So we also, we did our SWOT analysis, and we actually had a meeting strictly on the SWOT. And Zach got his whiteboard out and everything, and we had some really lively conversations on all the characteristics of the region, and our strengths and opportunities far outweigh our weaknesses and threats. And so, you know, there's just so much opportunity in this region. So, and then if you want to go to the next one, Zach. So the vision and goals, the Montechusett region strives to preserve and balance open spaces, places of industry and commercial ventures while enhancing the quality of lives of residents and making the area attractive for current business owners, employees, and those considering business relocations or expansions, and to support workforce development. It's kind of wordy, but it's got everything in there. So we came up with 7 primary goals, and they're listed here: continue improving and replacing aging and inadequate infrastructure, facilitate effective collaboration with regional economic stakeholders and partners, foster economic diversification, business creation and support with one regional voice, promote and provide for climate resiliency, support workforce development, business attraction and retention through collaboration with regional workforce partners, promote the redevelopment and reuse of brownfields, provide for more affordable housing. And then just as an example, Zach, if you want to go to the next slide. In the document you have, this is part of goal 3, which was the foster economic diversification. And these are just 2 of the strategies as an example. You know, improve access to capital and facilitate investment in existing and new capital assets. And then we have, you know, we've got actions that, you know, the group really kind of contributed to. And then outcomes, we have to have measurable outcomes. And then we designate different leaderships and partners. And then that last column that doesn't have anything in it, when I was going over the checklist from the EDA one more time, they have a cost. They want to have some type of an idea of what it's going to cost. So I'm going to go back and do a little bit of research on the costs for these different strategies and actions. Zach, you can move to the last one, I think. Oh, and then so we come to our 30-day comment period. Yesterday, the Merced's committee meeting voted to release the document for a 30-day comment period, which is from yesterday until November 1st. I'm going to send a copy of the document out to all our communities in the region. It's on the website. Comments can be sent to me either by email or snail mail or whatever, however you want to get them to me. And the committee also voted to recommend to the MRPC that MRPC adopts the MERSEDS pending incorporation of comments that are received during the 30-day comment period. And Zach, you want to go to the next one? Oh, this is just the next. If you want to go beyond this, I was going to talk about this after our next project. So if anybody has any questions or comments or concerns about the SEDS?
I had a comment. This is Mary Jo Bohart, and I want to thank you, Tracy, and also Zach for being so patient, because I know we as communities probably had a lot of suggestions, and you folded pretty much all of them in, which was great. And I also wanted to say to Zach, thank you for doing that specialized demographic analysis section with the pie charts and things. One thing that I was worried about initially was when our demographics are averaged throughout the entire Montechusett region, it no surprise looks like we're quite a majority white, and the minority populations are extremely small. But he did pie charts showing the demographic change in the three cities and also Clinton. And that was an eye opener. And it was really helpful because it showed in very easy to understand pie charts the changes that are going on. Of course, we were looking at Fitchburg, but I looked at the other communities as well. So I want to thank you, Zach, for formatting the data in that way, because we are an unusual region in that we have, a few communities, a bit more urban, that have a very dramatically changing demographic, and then the region is much more slowly changing. And I just thought that was a great way to tell that tale.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jeff Tillotson. May I ask, there were 7 points that came out. There's a slide that you went through, and it talked about the 7 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, thanks. And this is empirical. I have no data to back this up, but I look upon goal 7, provide for more affordable housing, as being something that actually probably underpins every single one of the other 6 goals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a comment. I'm not attempting to be argumentative. I found out today in a meeting with somebody that I'm probably too factual sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I come across as being, kind of mean. Sorry about this all. But, from the standpoint here, first of all, Mary Jo, thank you very much for your comment on how the diversity is changing. I would say in a microcosm, is seeing the exact same thing. We're seeing growth in younger people coming into town, younger people who are English as a second language coming to town, young professionals where English is a second language coming into town. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal to go to a town meeting and come across larger groups of what would have been smaller groups in the past. Yeah, I'm an old white guy, and that's what's happening, unfortunately, out here. But our biggest, and I don't know how you rank these in order of what was the ranking on this. We get to goal 7. But in almost every situation, goal 1 through 6, I can probably find somebody in my neighborhood who would say, well, we can't do 3 because we can't find housing.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do 4 because people can't move here. So I don't want to change the goals, but I just kind of want to have it be said that we've been working on trying to build affordable housing here in town for 3 years. Our town meeting put $400,000 on the table 3 years ago to build a 40B. The state hasn't moved forward with it, so we're a little frustrated. But we recognize that we're seeing both the folks who grew up here, the folks who live here on fixed incomes, and folks being pushed out of the urban areas, both in the Worcester area and the Boston area. Thinking about it again, we've got Devon's next to us, which is great jobs, but people can't find housing, and I don't think they're getting. They're not exactly getting price out of housing. It's just the limited amount of housing being built right now. So, yeah, thanks for just listening to my comments. But for me,
Sure.
Affordable housing, I would even say provide for more and more affordable housing. I don't know exactly. And by the way, I read this with great fascination, honestly. And the Groton Hill Music Center, by the way, my company built the speakers for that.
Oh, wow.
They're not in this picture, but yeah, they're in this picture. Yeah. But I'm very proud of that. But it's a Western Mass company. But yeah, no, I really appreciate this, and I can only guess the amount of work that went into this. If I may, while I have the floor, can you go to the SWOT chart, please?
A little bit small.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, again, under the threats, it's the lack of affordable housing, and it's almost lack of housing. But you have cost of housing. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I just wanted to see the T again. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comments. So does anybody else have any questions on the SWOT? I mean, on the SEDS? Karen, I'm not sure if they vote now, or how do you, this is the first time.
Yeah, they need to vote on the resolution. I think it's in the agenda, Jason.
What is that?
Sorry, I didn't realize I'd muted myself. Should we be voting on this before the comment period? I guess, Mr. Eden, is that what your recommendation is?
The commissioners have two options. You can vote on it tonight. For institutional memory, if it serves me correctly, sometimes the commissioners vote while the comment period out, and they say subject to future amendments, and there are very few that come in or future comments. Or you're the commissioners, you're our bosses. You can say, just defer this to the November vote, and we'll vote on it then. You can go either way as long as the wording is adequate, sir.
So can I comment, please? So this update is due to EDA on October 31st. So we'd like your support and vote contingent upon the comments.
So there's our answer, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Jeff Tillotson from AIR will move that the MRPC endorses the updated Montechusett Region Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy document as presented this evening, subject to the incorporation of any relevant comments received up until November 1st, 2024.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Guy Corbisiero.
Here in a first and a second. Discussion, please. Well, I guess thank you to everyone for their work on this. This is clearly a meaty project to get through. Any other comments or discussion from the board? All right, calling a roll call vote.
Alan Pease.
Aye.
Dean Valier.
Dean Valier, aye.
Jeff Tillotson.
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbisiero.
Guy Corbisiero, aye.
Christopher Monroe.
Christopher Monroe, aye.
Kyle Nardowitz.
Kyle Nardowitz, aye.
Mary Jo Bohart.
Mary Jo Bohart, aye.
Robert Schwartz.
Robert Schwartz, aye.
Excellent, thank you. Any voting members not called in the vote? Excellent. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I'd like to say something. Having done things like this before for both industry and other places, I can only imagine how many sleepless nights went into this, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh,
This
you're welcome.
the detail in here is pretty intense, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of all of it, isn't it? So
Yeah,
I want to say thank you to the team that worked on this, and please don't
thank
take my
you.
comments as criticism at all. It's
No,
just
nope, not at
it's
all.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Tracy, did you want to say anything about the filter project, if the chair
I
would allow?
I was just going to do a quick update on the filter, just to let the commission know that today, as a matter of fact, I sent out RFQs for a market analysis and engineering firms to do some concept plans. I talked about it at our Merced's meeting yesterday, and I've got people that are already emailing me pretty excited to, sit down and look at the properties. We have already collected all the infrastructure in our towns and cities, and we've done kind of a not a deep dive analysis on some of the communities that just aren't going to fit into this project. But yeah, we're moving forward, and that's Zach and my next big project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, for the purpose of the minutes, Tracy, would you be so kind as to define filter so we have it for the attendees and the minutes?
Oh, sure. I gotta actually look. I always
Jason,
have.
can you allow that slide to come back on?
I have it right here. It's future industrial lands for long-term economic recovery and resiliency. I have to look it up every time.
And I thought I just had to add SEDS to my vocabulary tonight. Now I have to have another one. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
All right, any additional updates from planning?
Just one, I just wanted to mention there's two important surveys that I've been sending out a flood survey from the state that's really important for municipalities to fill out. I'm going to be sending a reminder tomorrow because tomorrow's the last day to fill it out. And Jeff has been sending out a climate pollution reduction survey for the collaboration we're doing with CMRPC for our comprehensive climate action plan for the region. So please fill that one out and send it to anybody that would have valuable information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Transit and transportation.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention a public information meeting we're holding on October 30th related to our safety action plan we're putting together. This is the plan that we're doing through the Safe Streets for All program. We've been working on this for over a year, about halfway through the process. Basically, at the end of this process, when we endorse the plan by the MPO next September, this will allow us to pursue additional federal funds for actual tangible shovel in the dirt projects in the region, above and beyond what we typically see on the transportation improvement program or any other program in the region. So this plan that we're working on, we have a public information meeting in Fitchburg at City Hall, at the Legislative Building at City Hall on October 30th at 6:30. And there's also a remote option as well. So it'll be a hybrid meeting. We should be sending out some invitations to that in the coming week or so. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to the final agenda item, which is new business. Open session, time reserved for topics that the chair did not reasonably anticipate or that that members would like to discuss. And although we're currently running well ahead of schedule, I'm going to fix that with one question. Does anybody have any updates on Neshoba that they would like to give? Neshoba Medical. And also specifically, Glenn, do you have any updates on the letter that the commission voted on at the last meeting?
Still working on that letter. We got a large project from Gardner about 10 days ago that stuck a shoehorn into my schedule. So I'm going to get that out tomorrow with Holly's help.
Any updates from anybody else on the commission or any other new business? And it seems like we are staying ahead of schedule. So at the current time, the next meeting is scheduled for November 7th at 7 p.m. And if nobody else has any other business to bring in front of the commission, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Guy Corbisiero, make a motion to adjourn.
Hearing a first,
Bob
do we have a
Schwartz,
second?
second. Bob
Excellent.
Schwartz, second.
Excellent. Thank you. And that is non-debatable. So I'm actually going to call the vote a different way. Does anybody object to adjournment or vote no? Hearing no objections, we are adjourned at 7:46 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I know volunteers, thank you for taking your time, and all the staff that helped all of this get ready. Thank you very much for all the support and making this look easy.